I never thought the sound of church bells could feel like knives carving into my chest. But on that Damie wedding day they tolled for me, not in celebration, but as a cruel reminder of abandonment. He never showed up. My fiancé, my first love, my everything. He left me stranded at the altar with a trembling bouquet in my hands and whispers circling the pews like vultures. Years have passed since then. I rebuilt myself, piece by jagged piece, in a city that doesn't wait for anyone's heartbreak. I buried the boy who once believed in forever, and in his place rose a man who clawed his way into the corporate world, fueled not by hope but by spite. And yet, fate, always mocking me, had the audacity to place him back in my life, wearing the polished armor of my rival. Ethan Hayes. The name still tastes bitter on my tongue. We're competitors now, both fighting for the same contract that could define our careers. But the cruelest twist? When his company stumbled, it was my desk he landed at, my office door he knocked on, his voice low and desperate, asking for mercy, asking for a chance not just in business, but in something I thought long dead. The first time I saw him again was in a downtown Manhattan skyscraper, a conference room buzzing with executives and assistants. I had just finished a pitch that silenced the room, my chest swelling with quiet pride, when the door opened and in he walked. The air shifted, my heart traitorous, foolish skipped. He looked older, sharper, carrying himself with the kind of confidence only failure and survival can sculpt. His once boyish grin had been replaced by a tight line of determination. His eyes scanned the room, found me, and faltered for just a second, long enough to betray recognition, long enough to remind me of every sleepless night I had spent wondering why I wasn't enough. "Ladies and gentlemen," the moderator announced, "please welcome Ethan Hayes, representing Brigham and Company." The name hit like a slap. My rival, of course. He took the seat directly across from me, and for a heartbeat, the world shrank to the table between us. I held his gaze, refusing to blink, refusing to be the boy left standing in the ruins of a church again. After the meeting, he cornered me in the hallway. His voice was softer than I remembered, but no less infuriating. "Daniel." I wanted to laugh in his face. Daniel. He hadn't said my name in years, and now he spoke it like a prayer, like it could unravel me. I forced a smile. "Ethan, what a surprise. I thought you'd be too busy running from wedding vows to bother with boardrooms." His jaw tightened. He didn't reply right away, but I saw the flicker of shame in his eyes. Good. He deserved it. The truth is, I had practiced that line 1,000 times in my head, back when anger was my only fuel. But standing there, with his gaze locked on mine, I realized something terrifying. I still wanted answers. The days that followed blurred into late nights at the office, aggressive pitches, and silent wars played out in every glance across the table. And then unexpectedly a crack in the armor. One evening, after a brutal round of negotiations, I found him waiting outside my building. Rain poured down, soaking his suit, plastering his hair to his forehead. But he didn't move, didn't flinch, just stood there like a man who deserved to suffer. "Daniel," he said, voice hoarse. "I know I have no right, but please, hear me out." I should have walked past him. I should have slammed the door in his face. Instead, I felt the old, dangerous pull, the part of me that still remembered his laugh echoing in my apartment, his hands holding mine in the dark, his whispered promises of forever. "What could you possibly say?" I asked coldly. "That would erase what you did?" His eyes glistened not just with rain, but something deeper, rawer. "Nothing. I can't erase it. But I can tell you why. And I can tell you I regret it every damn day." My chest ached, but I refused to let him see. Regret doesn't build a life back, Ethan. Regret doesn't take away the humiliation, the pity in people's eyes, the broken man I had to stitch back together alone. For a long moment, we stood there, the city rushing around us, horns blaring, footsteps splashing through puddles. Two men locked in a war no one else could see. And then quietly, painful, I reached out. His hand hovered, trembling, just inches from mine. "Let me try again," he whispered. "Not to erase the past, To prove that I'm not the same coward I was. I should have pulled away, but my hand, traitor that it was, lingered in the space between us, caught in the gravity of him. The rain soaked through my clothes, chilling me to the bone, but his eyes burned hotter than any fire, and for the first time in years, I wondered, could love survive betrayal? Or was I a fool to even ask? The weeks that followed blurred into a storm of meetings, negotiations, and late-night strategy sessions. Every time I thought I'd shaken Ethan from my system, he found a way back and threw a glance across the boardroom, a stray comment that carried echoes of the man I once loved, or a silence that spoke louder than any apology. But business doesn't wait for heartbreak. The contract we were both chasing came down to a final presentation. Whoever secured it would cement their place at the top. For me, it meant vindication. For him, I wasn't sure. The night before the presentation, I stayed at the office until the city outside blurred into neon streaks. Exhaustion tugged at me, but pride kept me upright. That's when the door creaked open. Ethan stood there, hesitant, a folder in hand. I shouldn't be here, he admitted, stepping in anyway. But I can't let tomorrow come without saying this. I set my pen down slowly. If you're here to play mind games, spare me. I have enough of those in my head. He shook his head. No games. Just the truth. The reason I left. The words hung heavy. The very explanation I'd once begged for but no longer trusted myself to want. I stayed silent, my chest tight. I didn't leave because I didn't love you, he said, voice unsteady. I left because I was terrified. My family, they threatened to cut me off. They told me I'd ruin both our lives if I went through with it. And I believed them. I was a coward, Daniel. A boy too weak to choose love over fear. I wanted to scream, to rage, to tell him that nothing could justify the way he'd broken me. But his voice cracked, and his eyes shone with something so raw that my anger trembled. You think I walked away untouched? I died that day too, he whispered. Every success I've had since felt hollow without you. And standing here now, across from you, I know one thing with certainty: I would burn every bridge, lose every deal, start from nothing, if it meant earning back a piece of your trust. The silence that followed was suffocating. My heart pounded so hard it drowned out the hum of the city. I wanted to believe him. God, I wanted it so badly it scared me. But scars don't vanish with words. Tomorrow, I said finally, my voice low, we're rivals, and I won't lose. A flicker of pain crossed his face, but he nodded. Then let the best man win. The next day, the boardroom was electric. Suits, ties, laptops humming, money and ambition dripping from every corner. I stood at the head of the table, delivering my pitch with precision, every word sharp, every slide perfect. The client leaned forward, impressed, nodding along. For a moment, victory tasted real. Then Ethan took the floor. I braced myself for the usual corporate jargon, but what he said disarmed everyone. Numbers matter, he began, but people matter more. This isn't just a contract, it's a chance to build something lasting, something human. His voice carried the conviction of a man who had learned loss, who knew the cost of pride. And though it wasn't directed at me, I felt it like a blow to the chest. When the meeting ended, the decision was postponed. Both of us had fought well. Both of us had won and lost in different ways. That night, as I left the building, I found him waiting again. No rain this time, just the cool glow of streetlights. He looked tired but hopeful. I meant what I said, he murmured. Not just in there, out here, with you. Something inside me cracked. Maybe it was the exhaustion, maybe it was the years of pretending I didn't care, but I let myself step closer. Close enough to see the lines time had carved into his face, the regret that had never left his eyes. You broke me, Ethan, I said, my voice trembling. You left me with nothing. I know, he replied. And if it takes the rest of my life to prove I can give you something better, I will. For a long moment, I searched his face, waiting for the mask to slip, for the coward I remembered to show himself. But all I saw was a man stripped bare, begging not for forgiveness, but for a chance to love again. I don't know what possessed me, Anger. Longing, desperation, but I reached out and caught his wrist. His breath hitched, and in that fragile space between us, all the walls I'd built threatened to crumble. The kiss was inevitable. It wasn't gentle or sweet or even forgiving. It was years of pain, fury, love, and loss colliding in one reckless, burning moment. And when we finally broke apart, gasping, I realized my heart hadn't stopped beating for him. Not once. The contract was awarded weeks later. To me, victory should have felt sweet, but it was bittersweet because in the end, the real battle had never been about business. Ethan didn't vanish this time. He stayed persistent, patient, present. Slowly, he stitched himself back into my life, not with grand gestures, but with small, quiet consistencies. A morning coffee left on my desk. A text asking if I'd eaten. A silence that didn't demand, only offered. And one evening, as we walked through Central Park, the skyline glowing against the dusk, he slipped his hand into mine. Not tentative, not trembling, steady. "You don't owe me forever," he said softly. "But if you'll let me, I want to spend every day earning it." I squeezed his hand, the weight of years lifting just enough for hope to settle in. Maybe love couldn't erase the past. Maybe scars never truly fade. But sometimes, against all odds, love deserved a second chance. And for the first time in a long time, I was willing to give it. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with the latest videos.